All right, folks, this is Sherman Wright, and this is Black Success Magazine podcast. So we're doing kind of double duty here today, folks. We're going to be doing our podcast, plus we're doing a little bit of something on Facebook Live at the same time. So we just kind of hope it all works out. Hey, thanks for being a part of the show today. One of the things that we're going to be looking at today are lessons we can learn from Remember the Titans. And so we're going to talk about that today. And I think if you remember the Titans, epic movie, Denzel Washington, Ryan Gosling was in it. Who else was in it? Will Patton was in it. Hayden Panettiere, and she was there when she was a little kid, so she was in that. Ryan Hurst, some great cast of people. But I think we can actually learn some things from it, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today on the show. Also, we're going to talk about a book I'm writing, and the book is called Living the Remarkable Life. And so Living the Remarkable Life. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today, too, because I think we're going to be able to learn a lot from some of the lessons I've learned in not just in the last decades that I've lived, but some of the things that I've learned over the years, I think I'm going to be able to share with you that is just going to impact your life. So welcome to the show, though. So welcome to Black Success Magazine, the podcast. And we missed Monday, but we've been going hard with this, folks. I don't know if you noticed this, but we've been going really hard on this every day. We're putting some stuff in. Also, we're doing stuff on Facebook. We're on Instagram now. We've got the podcast, so we're out in podcasts. We're on our website, and so we're putting it out, getting a lot of great traction on it. A lot of people are loving what we're doing, and so that's kind of the cool part about I think it's cool. I think it's the cool part about the whole thing where people are just digging what you're doing. So let's talk a little bit about Remember the Titans. And if you like what you're seeing here on YouTube, and we really hope you do, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tell everybody about what we're doing, and just let everybody know, because I think more and more when people are hearing about organizations like this, Black Success Magazine, especially when we're putting out a magazine, putting out a podcast, doing all this kind of stuff, it catches fire. You need more and more people out in the space that are talking about some of the great things that are going on. And I know some of you are probably wondering, what about the hat? Well, we're here in Las Vegas, and our Las Vegas Aces, our WNBA team, we're in the finals. Come on, baby. Tonight will be the night that we'll find out. This is Game 5 tonight. It's a rubber match. We're playing against, I don't know, some other women's team. But I've been following the Las Vegas Aces for a couple of years now. We've only been in existence for a couple of years, so we're doing pretty good stuff. All right, so once again, if you like the show, subscribe to our page. Just hit that little button down there, subscribe to our page, and I hope you do. So Remember the Titans. Let's talk a little bit about it. We'll do a little setup on this, and then we'll talk about it after the break here in a second. Virginia, 1971. Okay, 71. Think about this. High school football is everything in Alexandria, Virginia. I mean, that's pretty much it. That's what people live for. They die for it. It's football. But there is a school that is being forced to integrate an all-black school with an all-white school. So now we got this. We're talking about some interesting things. Now, interesting thing here in Las Vegas, we had integration here in 71 too. So 71 was kind of like the year for everybody in America, and that's basically what happened here in Alexandria too. So an all-white school is forced to integrate an all-black school, and now we have football coming. So we got guys who are part of a football, legacy in this white school where they only had white coaches, they had white kids, and white people watching. And all of a sudden, you got all these black kids coming into the school, and it's setting up for there's a battle that's going to be happening. So we'll talk about that in just a second, folks. Black Success Magazine, and with the lessons we can learn from Remember the Titans. We'll be back in just a second. All right. I think you're going to dig this. All right, guys, all ready? Let's go back. Let's get this started. All right. So what we're doing, we're doing double duties here now, folks. We're actually kind of doing double duties where we're taping our show, and I don't want to stop because I just think it's kind of you stop, you start, you stop, you start. I don't want to do that. I want to keep going with this thing, and so we're talking about lessons we can learn from Remember the Titans. Denzel Washington plays the coach, and the coach is named Herman Boone. Okay, Herman Boone, and he's coming in. He's going to be the new head coach for this team. Excuse me, in Virginia, where you have an all-white school that is being forced to integrate an entire black school coming into their school, and now they've got to have people come in to start changing things. You know, they've been used to doing things for quite a while. And if you saw the movie, there's a lot of intrigue. I mean, you've got the school board, and you've got everybody against basically this coach, Herman Boone, because he wants to do things his way. You know, he's coming in, he's going to bring in his people, and he's going to bring in his defensive people, his offensive people, and these white folks are a little upset. So what can we learn from this movie, Remember the Titans? Well, the first thing we can learn is change is tough, but it's necessary for the greater good. Change is tough. We all hate change. Some people, I mean, more than others, but change is necessary for you to grow. In order for you to grow, you have to change. There's a lot of people that look at their kids and they go, you know what? I wish my kid would just stay young the rest of their lives. I wish they were just little babies in all their entire lives. But the reality is, in order for them to grow, they got to change. Their attitudes change, let me tell you. Attitudes change. The way they see things change. The way they speak changes. Their friends change. All those things change, and it is a good thing because in order for them to grow, they've got to change. And that's one of the major things that we saw in Remember the Titans was that in order for society to change, to grow, there had to be some change. And in 1971 in Alexandria, Virginia, that's what happened. I mean, it's not just a small thing, it's a big thing, where you had to see a major change and a major shift in society. And a lot of people didn't like that. I mean, they really didn't like it. It was kind of, actually, it was kind of scary how much they didn't like it. You had people burning crosses on this coach. Coach Boone, played by Denzel Washington, had people burning crosses on his 71, burning crosses on his front lawn. People putting things in the newspaper. People just threatening his life, that kind of stuff. And he's got a family. So he's got a family, he's got a wife and kids. But that was a reaction to change. And people just didn't want to see it. And they definitely didn't want to see it, you know, in their lifetimes, if at all. So number two, and once again, if you like what you're hearing here, folks, subscribe to our page here. We really have our our YouTube page here. We really encourage you to do that and share it with your friends. Number two, lessons we can learn from Remember the Titans. You can triumph over overwhelming odds with persistence and an unrelenting resolve. Okay? You can overcome overwhelming odds, and that's what we were seeing here in Alexandria, Virginia, with persistence and an unrelenting resolve. And that's huge. It's not just huge, folks. It is. We all live in society where we see adversity in front of us, and sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I've got to climb this hill. I've got to get over the top of whatever I got to get over the top of in order to win. And in order to do that, sometimes you just got to put your head down. You got to put your head down and say, okay, this is it. I'm going for it. I'm going for it, and nothing is going to stop me. And you've got to get that mentality in your head that nothing is going to stop me. I've got to have an unrelenting resolve to get from here to there. Because if you don't, guess what? Those overwhelming odds, they're going to beat you. There's just no way. The Dallas Cowboys, we're going to talk about them in just a second, but the Dallas Cowboys are a good indication of what we're saying. Let's talk about that when we get back. It's Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine, with tips we can learn from remembering the Titans. We'll be back in just a second. All right. Almost there, folks. We're going to learn something here today from this, and I think you're going to dig it. Let me get a little coffee in there. You know what we'll end up doing? I think we might play some music in the background because that always works out really well too. Let me get some music up here, and that way that you're not just having to listen to me babble on and on and on. All right, ready to get back to the show, folks? All right, folks, it is Sherman Ray, and this is Black Success Magazine, the podcast. And boy, it looks like we're actually up and live. I can see my whole face on there that people are actually watching us, which is great. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today, folks. We really hope that this is impacting your life and that you're actually getting something out of this. On the show today, we're talking about how to live lessons we can learn from remembering the Titans. Many of you remember what that show is all about. It was really about a clash of ideas, a clash of culture that was in 1971 in Alexandria, Virginia, where you had an all-white school that was being forced to integrate a black school into their society. And so and now we're talking about football now. So it's different if it's just playing around, but we're talking about football, which was life and breath to the folks in Alexandria, Virginia. Herman Boone was the coach, played by Denzel Washington, and he had a bunch of kids that he had to get together. And you would think that the kids would be a lot easier to get them going, but the kids were probably just as bad as the adults in this case. And the kids were saying, you had half the team that said basically, nope, we're not playing with these black kids. Nope, things have been this way for years. We're not going to change. And they had learned certain mentalities from their parents. And the black kids are coming in and going, hey, you just a bunch of white folks to us. We don't care about you guys. We just want to play. And they, so you have this big butting of heads. So we're learning some lessons from that you can learn on your success journey. When we went to the break, we were just talking about that you can triumph over overwhelming odds with persistence and an unrelenting resolve. And we were talking about Dallas Cowboys. So the Dallas Cowboys played football just a couple weeks ago, and they were getting beat. Not just beat, but getting beat pretty badly in a game. And I changed the channel. It's my favorite team, but when you're losing, you got other things to do. And so they were down by like 17 points or something like that. And when I turned back on the TV, which was hours later, literally hours later, I was doing something else. I got involved in something else. I found out something very interesting, that the Cowboys had actually won. Not only did they win, they won in the last seconds of the game. They came back from a deficit that people were saying, no, there's no way. There's just no way they're going to come back from this. Dak Prescott threw for 450 yards. He ran for 3 touchdowns himself, and he threw for 1 more, and set up the team for a game-winning field goal in the last seconds of the game to win the game 40-39. That, folks, I'll tell you, that gets you going. That gets me jacked up. It just gets me jacked up to see that my team, the Dallas Cowboys, could do that. So I'm watching the game again last week, or just a couple days ago. And the same sort of thing happened. And my grandson, who's now, I guess he's learned how to speak crap. he's trash talking now. He was saying that Dak Prescott will never have that kind of game again. There's no way. There's no way he'll throw for 450 yards. And guess what Dak Prescott did in this game? He threw for 472 yards this game. Unfortunately, they did lose the game, but I believe that this is setting the Cowboys up, and I'm getting this right now. This has set the Cowboys up for they're going to be unstoppable the rest of the year. You know why? Because once you taste victory, it's contagious. That's actually one of my points here. Success is contagious. Once a team finds out that their quarterback can throw, not just throw, but throw a lot. 472 yards. Let me give you an example of this. In the game I watched yesterday, Monday night, both quarterbacks, the one who's the highest paid player in the league, Patrick Mahomes, and the quarterback for the Ravens, combined for 350 yards, something like that. But Dak Prescott for 472 yards, and the week before that for 450 yards. Success is contagious, folks, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that when we come back. This is Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine. The podcast will be back in just a minute. All right. Well, I like that one, folks. How do you like that? So I'm going to turn on a little bit of sound here for you because I think that I'm going to put a little bit of jazz on it for you. And hopefully it won't be too loud. That way you'll actually have something to listen to as we're kind of going through this. And we'll find out from YouTube if we can actually do this later. Also, because I would hate for them to be really upset at me for playing something that I can't actually do. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm not going to hold you up, folks. We're going to get this going here because I don't want to wait around all day. All right. All right, folks. Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine podcast. We are simulcasting over on YouTube, and so we're doing the YouTube live shot right now, and we're taping our podcast, which will be up. We'll put our podcast up just for the audio only here in just a little bit. It'll be on Anchor FM. What else do we have this month? We've got on Anchor FM. We've got on Spotify, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, and Breaker. We'll probably have it up on a few more stations here pretty quick too. So very excited about that. Also, we've got a magazine coming out, and we've got our Instagram channel, which is just blowing up. I mean, I'm really excited about that. That our Instagram channel continues to to grow and expand. Every week, it seems like we're getting more and more people really digging our Instagram channel. So thank you so much, everybody who's really enjoying this. And if you like what you're saying, what you're hearing here, we encourage you. Just go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share this with all your friends. Let everybody know that you're really kind of digging this, what we're doing. Also, you can email us. Email us at blacksuccessmagazine@gmail.com. Love to hear from you. Leave comments. So we're leaving comments. All the stuff that you do. Let's talk a little bit more. I'm going to do, if we have time today, and I don't know if we're going to have time, we're going to give you just one of the chapters. I'm going to talk a little bit about a book that we're writing, and it's called Living the Remarkable Life. And so Living the Remarkable Life is going to be pretty cool. We're going to share some tips, 12 tips on living the remarkable life. It's one of the fun things that we do. And I think everybody needs in their life, because it's tough enough to live life as it is, but now you want to begin to live life on a higher level, and that's what it's all about. So let's go on to tips we can learn from Remember the Titans. Tip number 3: teams are built when you get the buy-in from your leaders. This is key. Teams are built when you get buy-in from your leaders. Now, in this movie we're watching, you had a group of kids that had been a part of their community for years, for generations. And when these black kids came in to invaded their place, they were pretty upset about it. And so the coach is trying to get these kids to work as a team, and there's nothing. I mean, one kid he's a quarterback. He basically said, I'm not even going to throw to the black kids. I'm not even going to do that. Another kid who's supposed to be blocking for the running back, who's a black running back, he goes, no, not going to do it. Not going to even block for the guy. Guy gets nailed one time. Same thing happened on the defensive side. Defensive guy goes, no, not even going to work with the other linebacker. It's not going to happen. Change happened. Okay, this is what happened. Change happened when the coach, who was played by Denzel Washington, was able to get the kids, and not just all the run-of-the-mill kids that are running around, but the leadership. When he was able to get leaders on his team, on his side, all of a sudden things changed. It only took one to start. And once one kid started, then another kid got in line. And once another kid got in line, another kid got in line. And so you can get a team to come together as a real full-fledged team if you can get your leaders within that team to buy into what you want to do. Without that, it's tough. I build an organization right now. It's called the Black Business Chamber of Commerce here in Las Vegas. And the first thing I did is I looked for leaders. I mean, I had like 3,000 business owners that I'm working with, but I needed key leaders within that group to buy into what we're doing. So what we did is we looked for key leaders. I've got some high-level thinkers, high-level people who we had to get them to buy in order for everybody else to start looking at our organization. And that's really what you've got to do as somebody who's working towards success. You've got to begin to look for key leaders within your organization or within society in order to make things happen. That's kind of key to you making things happen. Our last point that we're going to talk about is real change comes not from legislation, but from results. And we're going to talk about that when we come back. This is Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine podcast. We'll be back in just a minute. All right. A little short break here, folks. Then we're going to get out. Got one last segment. And we're done. All right. Clear my throat a little bit there. Let's do it. All right. And folks, we are back with Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine, the podcast. And we are on our, we've been talking a little bit about tips we can learn from Remember the Titans. And we posted this on Instagram. I thought it was really kind of a cool subject because you can learn a lot. I mean, you learn a lot from watching TV. You can learn a lot from watching and looking at life. But Remember the Titans. It's probably one of those epic movies where you can learn a lot from it. Let's talk about the last tip that we can learn from it, and I think this will probably speak to a lot of people. Is that real change comes not from legislation, but from results. Now, this is important. I think we all can learn something from this. Is that if you want to see real change in people's lives, it's not going to come through legislation. It just doesn't. Real change comes from results. And in Virginia, one of the things that we saw was that the townsfolk who had been watching their team play really didn't buy into it. They didn't buy into all these black kids coming into their neighborhood. They didn't come, this black coach, the school board, and everything else. The only time it changed was when, get this, the team started winning. Once Coach Boone was able to get these boys together, he got his other coach together, which is another thing too, because he had another coach, a defensive coach, and he and the defensive coach were fighting with each other. Once they started scoring and winning, things changed. Not just a little bit. He got buy-in. Not just a little bit of buy-in. He got major buy-in. Now people are saying, hey, come on into my store where no black man has ever come in before. Come on in. Can we get you a chicken? You know, that kind of stuff. That is what happened that's when change occurs in a society. It's not going to come from you legislating anything. Okay? Laws don't change people. Okay? Results change people. If people see that what you're doing is successful, guess what? They're going to jump on board. It's what we said before. Success is contagious. Once people go, oh my gosh, something good's happening here, all of a sudden they go, shoot, I think I better get on board with this thing, because if I don't, I'm going to miss the train. I'm missing the train if I let this thing pass by me here. And that's really what happened. So we learn a lot from this thing because we see that people are not moved. They're really not moved by. They're not moved by some politician telling you that you've got to do this, you got to do that, you got to. Okay, that has never changed anybody. Okay, you might not do what you're going to do, but that doesn't change you. Okay, it might curb a behavior for a while. It doesn't change anybody, but real change came from the results. If you know that this is going to happen as a result of you doing that, all of a sudden people change. If you know that you running every morning, starting out a mile, now you can do 2 miles, then you can do 3, all of a sudden, guess what you're going to do? You're going to keep running, right? If you know that posting a YouTube video that people are going to start watching it, and they do, you go, hey, I'm going to do that. If you know that you doing a speech or that you speaking in somebody's life, that all of a sudden they're going to change their behavior and they're going to start doing great things, you're going to do it. That's what changes people, folks. So we can learn a lot. We learn so much from just this simple movie. And I really enjoyed it. I really do. I enjoyed the whole movie, and I enjoyed the whole concept of the movie. And we might just write some more things about this. I think people need this. They really do. And if you look for lessons in life, you're gonna find them. You really are. So I told you I was going to give you a little bit of an excerpt of our new book, and I am. So I've got just about 1 minute, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a taste for it. We're writing a book called Living the Remarkable Life, and there are 12 concepts that we're going to be laying out in our book. And I want to give you kind of a sneak preview of it because I think it's something it's going to be really big. So one of the things that remarkable people do, and I'll tell you a really short story. The guy's name is Peter Cooper. And do you know who Peter Cooper is? Well, Peter Cooper, if it were not for a guy named Peter Cooper, we would not have lights right now. I know, you're thinking, what? I thought Thomas Edison was the reason why we have lights. That's right. Peter Cooper created wealth in his life. He was a poor guy who was born like the 1700s. He created so much wealth during his life that what he decided to do is he was going to start a school, and the school was going to be for poor kids. The kids were going to be able to go for free because he felt like, you know what, we need it. He only had 1 year of formal education himself. So what he decided to do is he said, I'm going to start a school for poor kids so they wouldn't have to pay. Guess who one of the kids were in that school? Thomas Edison. That's right. Thomas Edison. So what do we learn from that? Remarkable people give, and they give a lot. Remarkable people do some, and they don't get credit for it until maybe years later. They're not looking for credit for it. They're looking for changed lives. So that's your sneak preview. Folks, this has been Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, folks, subscribe to our page, like us, go on our Facebook page, do some great things. Check us out on blacksuccessmagazine.com. And we appreciate everything you've done. We are done here today, folks. We will talk to you soon. Have a nice one.